SailGP lands in Halifax, Canada. Just 3 events remain in Season 5, and the points awarded here on the stunning waters of Nova Scotia will shape the battle for who can reach the $2 million winner-takes-all grand final. It's a brand new race course. Will it even the playing field? Can the Black Foils prove to Australia it's their time to reign? Will the young gun Spain hold on to their 3rd place overall? Nothing is certain in SailGP.
Waves crash underneath, sound like thunder speaking. Flying cars and machines, driven by the world's best, yes. Powered by nature, all passion, all action. When it takes, racing on water, racing with impact. Give it all, everything, give it all, everything. We are racing. When it takes, we are SailGP.
Event 11 of Season 4 sees SailGP move to the North Atlantic and a first visit for the league to the Great White North. Nova Scotia is known as Canada's ocean playground, and its capital city, Halifax, is now the host of the ROCKWOOL Canada Sail Grand Prix. This weekend, the racing will take place on the sacred waters of the Mi'kmaq, the ancestral lands of the Mi'kmaq people who signed the treaties of peace and friendship with the British Crown nearly 300 years ago. As the league races in this historic area for the first time, it brings with it their mission to respect the land, water, and wind that powers SailGP. And while it may be the league's first time in Canada, Season 4 of SailGP is heading towards its dramatic conclusion. So here's what's happened so far through the first 10 events.
The SailGP season is heating up. 10 events down and just 3 to go. The big story is at the top of the table, where New Zealand's Black Foils currently reign over their rivals.
Our goal all season has been to be the ones being chased, and I'm really excited to be there now.
But you can always count on triple champions Australia to stay in the fight.
They're a stronger team than us, and they deserve the top spot, and we've got a lot of work to do to catch them.
That's not the result that Slingsby's used to.
If you think we're happy sort of come the end of the season with a 3rd place, that's not correct.
The young Spanish team are having their best season yet, winning their 2nd event title in Bermuda.
Give it up for the Spanish. They will claim the victory here in Bermuda.
They arrive in Halifax ready to secure their position for the grand final.
We are in a very good position. If we keep working the same way, we can compete and face the top teams in the league.
That, though, is easier said than done, as Denmark, France and Canada will be set on making the top 3, that will fight it out for $2 million in the grand final. Denmark have come so close to a win this season. Can they make the most of an unknown racecourse that could open up the pecking order?
A lot of stuff can still happen, and I don't think Spain has too many friends the next 3 events out there.
France have not performed as well as they did in Season 3, but they are still in the fight for a reason. A string of 4th places plus a 2nd overall in Christchurch means they are more than capable of performing in Halifax.
Absolutely clinical by Delapierre.
It's Canada's home event, and this could be both a blessing and a curse as they harness the home crowd. They're a team that love to push their F50 to the max.
Phil Robertson, he's always right in the action.
So, will they get carried away, or will they find that extra gear on home waters?
Our team is fired up for this week. They're pumped. There are so many people out here supporting us.
In the second half of the overall standings, it's the United States who have the most to prove after their embarrassing capsize in Bermuda.
Oh, they flipped! Oh, my Lord! Disaster!
They still have an outside chance of clawing their way back into the podium positions, but can they seize that opportunity here in Halifax?
We haven't given up on this year by any means, and we will fight every minute that we're on the water.
So after 10 events, it is the Black Foils of New Zealand that hold down the top spot. Defending champions Australia are in 2nd overall. Spain has surged into 3rd and have a 9-point cushion to the last grand final position over 4th place at ROCKWOOL, Denmark. France is still in the mix, and then it's this weekend's host Canada and the U.S. holding out 6th and 7th respectively. Emirates, Great Britain are clinging to an outside shot at making the final, and the Germany and the Swiss round out the 10 international teams. We are scheduled for 4 fleet races on day 1, followed by 2 more on Sunday. The league awards 10 points for a win, all the way down to a single point for last. Then after all the fleet races are concluded, only the top 3 teams on points will race in a winner-take-all event final. Right now, let's have a look at today's race course with Stevie Morrison.
Well, our racetrack's on the historic Halifax Harbour, and the teams need to be behind the line as the clock counts to 0. The sprint to Mark 1 before the race course opens up. The F50s only go fast when they're sailing at an angle to the wind, so that's why we see them crisscross around the course, trying to find the quickest time between gates. It's a very small, close racetrack, so manoeuvring skills are going to be of the essence. If you can find a good wind shift and minimise the distance out there today, there will be opportunity to overtake, but it's going to be close, it's going to be congested. Who can finish first in front of the fans on the shore?
All right, thank you, Stevie. So our 10 international teams are ready to go racing in Halifax as they make their final preparations. We check in down on the water with Olympic silver medalist Lisa Darmanin.
Todd, it is going to be an extremely difficult day for the sailors out here. It is blowing from the north, it is gusty, it is shifty. It is around 18 kilometres per hour, gusting to 38 kilometres per hour. So you can see that big range, and that's what makes it difficult, because you don't want to get caught in the downrange. Configuration-wise, they've got the 24-metre all-purpose wing, but high-speed boards and rudders for those big gusts, big puffs that are coming through. So if they get a big gust, they will be ripping, and right now, there's really good wind across the racetrack. Lots of clouds around though, so the sailors will be looking at them to help navigate the course, but it is going to be an absolutely fantastic day of racing for everyone at home and everyone lining the shores here in Halifax.
All right, thank you very much, Lisa. Much more for you as the day progresses, as we come up 1:15 away from the start of race number 1 here in Halifax at the ROCKWOOL Canada Sail Grand Prix. So Stevie Morrison, they are in the start box or getting there shortly. The big question now with a minute to go, how do you utilize the tricky conditions that Lisa reported about to your favor?
Well, Todd, you said at the opening of the show, you said nothing is certain, and to be honest, you ain't seen nothing yet. I think this race course out here is going to be open all the way to the finish. No chickens can be counted too early, but if you can get off to a good start, that's going to be well received. Hard to predict the acceleration of the boats. I think the big point here, small foils, hard to jump up onto the foils. If you get your timing wrong, you could be really out the back, and we see Great Britain, United States well positioned, Australia and New Zealand choosing to lead the fleet back, gives them a little bit more control, but is there going to be wind coming at the start line, or is it going to be light at the start? We've got the star there on board Canada. That's our pole predictor at the moment. The maths tell us that's the perfect place to be to lead at Mark 1, but you've got to execute from there, Phil Robertson on board Canada. Here we go, the crew start to wind it up. De La Pierre on board France towards the bottom of our screen. Germany out the back, it's going to be New Zealand, Canada and Australia. How's your timing in the middle of the line, Phil Robertson? Boy, it's a pretty picture-perfect start from Canada, but the German boat, wow! Absolutely flying through the fleet there. Perfect timing from Eric Heil. It's going to be a sprint between France and Germany towards Mark 1.
Little bit of grip, Jimmy.
And here we go, mark number 1, race number 1 from Halifax, and it looks like the Germans are going to roll over the top of the French.
Oh, France have got tactical advantage there. The Germans have got to keep clear, Todd. Expect aggressive move from Contan here. He's going to keep pushing. Germany's got to keep clear. Could be good news for Spain as France and Germany are in a private battle, and we know the turn to set yourself up for gate 2 comes soon. Has De La Pierre pushed them off the course too far?
Port.
So while Germany and France get into it, Canada slides to the inside. Germany carrying almost out to the border, and Spain has inherited the lead. So the Spanish, winners of the last event in Bermuda, coming out with a beautiful start, Stevie. They get away from the fray, and now they've got open water.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be the story of the day. Look at the different angles the boats are sailing. If you're in wind, you're going to be absolutely ripping, but it's going to be easy to fall off the foils during the manoeuvres. So you need to try and manoeuvre when you've got good wind speed. And we can see at the back there, the Spanish crew setting up for another manoeuvre here at the bottom. They're going well, but I think the French will probably still be in the picture. Let's watch this manoeuvre. Yeah, there we go. Advantage France at the moment. There's probably one more manoeuvre for both boats. Don't count out the Germans just yet. They're going to be fast, maybe straight through to gate 2, but the right of way is with France and Spain at the moment.
And France makes the turn there at gate number 2, so we'll see where they go. The Germans are coming in hot. They will split in between the French and the Spanish, and they will split the course. And it looks like Diego Botín and the Spanish will follow the French and Contan de la Pierre.
Good first downwind, and here we go. Great camera angle. Look at these darker patches in the middle of our screen, Todd. Really good wind for an early manoeuvre for the Spanish boat here. Wouldn't be surprised to see them turn early. There they go, left-hand side of our screen. Spain straight into a turn. Well lined up for the wind on this upwind leg. But they're going to be coming back through the middle of the fleet, and look at some of the pre-regatta favourites. United States, New Zealand, can't even see the Australians. Some of the big names are out the back at this stage. Lisa, you're down on the water. Can you actually see, does any particular side of the course look better, or is it just really erratic on the course?
Less pressure on boundary.
Yeah, agreed.
It's super erratic out here. I think right now there is quite a little bit of pressure on the left-hand side of the racetrack, so over on the Halifax side. But we know that there's two ways to win a sailboat race. That's sailing less distance or sailing in more wind. Right now it looks where the Spanish and the French are going. They're going to come back on a really nice angle and be strong there. So it is really, really challenging out here. I'm not sure which way to go. I think we'll see it play out. Switzerland have come close to the Halifax side, but it's a battle between Spain and France right now.
And right now, the French and the Spanish are almost neck and neck. The edge going to Spain, just about 100 meters, well, less than 100 meters, probably about 50 meters ahead of the French in second. The Germans are in third. And then in fourth place, it's Emirates GBR with Giles Scott, Nathan Outridge, and the Swiss currently in fifth.
Here we go. We'll get to see some wind speeds down on the water. We can see 20 kilometres an hour roughly on the water at the moment. We can see how high the boats are flying. You can expect that ride height to be quite sort of up and down today. It's going to be hard to sail the boat smoothly. Look at the moment. At the moment, Spain have got wind and a good angle. They're sailing nearly straight up our ladder lines, and he's just reading the wind well. That manoeuvre straight after gate 2 was a good call, Bobo team. And I think something to bear in mind, Todd, if you can find maybe 2 or 3 kilometres an hour more wind speed on the water, that can turn into 6 or 7 or 8 kilometres an hour more boat speed. So I think as much as you're trying to sail less distance, my priority in my decision making out there is the wind speed. I'm looking for those dark patches and a bit more wind.
Coming up to gate number 3. This is the first race of 3 today. There'll be 2 more fleet races tomorrow, and then we will have the event final. And right now, it is Spain out in front. But Stevie, they've sailed into a low-pressure situation because it looks like they are coming off the foils.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. As we come up the course, we move up towards the cityscape in front of us. So towards the right-hand side of our screen, there's some big buildings, slightly blocking the wind. So every now and again, you're going to get some gusts, some lulls. At the moment, it's pretty light on board Spain, but on average, it's gone well. And have a look, the Swiss have got a boundary penalty here. That should take about 20 metres to clear, unless it was a very naughty one by Outridge. Here we go, he's trying to clear it now. Turns away from the wind. It's relative to any boat near him. He needs to lose 20 metres at the discretion of the umpire. But Nathan Outridge, no surprise to see him going well in these shifty conditions. And Giles Scott, left-hand side, Great Britain. They're back in the race. A big pressure event for Giles here. Not performed in SailGP yet, but what a fantastic upwind leg.
Just got the Germans below, Giles.
Yeah, okay, copy that.
Here, Hannah Mills there is the strategist for Emirates GBR, calling out to Giles Scott, the driver. And now Emirates GBR picking up a penalty.
Yeah, it's a boundary penalty as well. That's been taking a while to be detected there by the umpires. That's why they've made that mark in 1. So a little bit cheeky by the British. Hopefully that penalty will clear fairly quickly for them.
Yep.
Here we go, that was the voice of Ian Jensen saying we've got to be clear. Our data tells us it's not clear just yet. That's still got the P sign up there. They've got to lose distance relative to boats near them. This could take a moment to clear.
It's cleared.
It's cleared.
Okay, we're still in 2 here.
And as they continue to try to find the pressure, Lisa, we check in with you down on the water. This upside of the course is awfully messy.
That's the job.
It is so hard out here. These big clouds are really affecting the pressure, but where Emirates GBR are right now, where Germany are, there is so much wind. They will be going 3 times anyone else on the racetrack. Right now, we're going to see Spain and Emirates GBR come back together. I think Spain will have the slight advantage, but Emirates GBR, they're in great wind. They should be able to execute the foiling manoeuvre in this wind.
Now, look at that. They're tickling right around 75 kilometers an hour. Spain now, they're starting to get that pressure, Stevie, and they are over 70 kilometers an hour. So it's the Spanish, Emirates GBR, GBR and Germany 1, 2, and 3. Remember, it's 10 points for a win. We've got 3 races today. So at the end of the day, Stevie, your big goal, 30 points.
Absolutely, and that'd be some day on a day like this. Have a look at the leaderboard on the left-hand side, Todd. 9th Australia, 10th New Zealand.
Unbelievable.
When do you see that? And I like this on the Spanish, and we saw it upwind on the British boat as well. They're using their strategy sets. That's Nicole van Verden. She sat down on the other side of the boat. Hannah Mills was on the opposite to Giles Scott on the opposite side. It's just maximising visibility. When the wind's shifting and changing this much, you can think you're in a fairly safe situation, and suddenly there's another boat right in your windscreen, and I think it's good to see. A lot of wind for the French coming down the course, and again Spain, what a beautiful place to tack. Look, they're going to sail straight across that gust of wind, that darker patch on the water, beautifully lining up. Botín, he's reading the course well at the moment.
Gate number 4 as they make their way in here. It is Emirates GBR having a great race, and they are desperately needing points as they currently sit in 8th place overall, 17 points out of a top 3 position. And remember, the top 3 will race for $2 million when we get to San Francisco in about 2 months' time.
Well, let's be honest, for me, I think the British need to win or certainly be on the podium here to have much chance of making it. What a great shot of this breeze. Look how gusty the course is here. And we can see New Zealand out the back, but there's plenty of race left here. Another whole leg upwind. Spanish are almost half the way upwind. And you can see how low the percentages are for foiling. We're so unused to seeing that in SailGP. But that's just because these big gaps and changes in wind speed makes it really easy to fall off the foils.
Coming up with it. Just stick land in the brow.
Be a little bit confusing for people first time watching SailGP at the moment. Boats go in the different directions. Spain, Great Britain, they're sailing back up into the wind. They're nearly a leg ahead of Burling and on the New Zealand crew there.
It's all in the left at the moment, John.
So that means there, Hannah Mills is staying there. The wind's all on the left side of the course. The wind's tending to be turned to the left and coming from the left. That's where Canada and ROCKWOOL Denmark are heading. The fans, here we are. Look at the fans on the shoreline. Well, they're on the left. So that's where most of the crews are going to be going to get that more wind.
ROCKWOOL Denmark ducks in behind the Australians. Surprising to see Australia, the USA, and the Kiwis at the very back of the fleet. But that's how they sit right now. New Zealand 8th, USA 9, and Australia 10th.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big change up, and it's a really changeable day, so there's a good opportunity to get back towards the top 5 for any of these teams here. I'd say the leading positions are gone. I mean, look at that. As soon as you're out in front, like the Spanish team are, you just get to pick your own course and sail where you want to go in clear wind, and, well, it's a quality out. We saw that at the last event, and Tom Slingsby in the press conference said, at this level, it's all about confidence, and you can't be feeling a lot more confident than coming in having won the last event.
All the boats are on our bow, you see them. Yes.
Tight moment here, France and Great Britain. Now the British are going to fall off the foils. As soon as they're overlap right now, the British have to stay clear of France. De La Pierre was very kind to him there, but he didn't need to do much more. He's in a good gust of wind. He's heading right at the mark, and the wind's now rotated to the right. So expect an early turn from the French after they turn downwind here. Little stretch away, then set up to turn.
So they'll head downwind one more time, and then it's a quick right-hand turn to the finish line. Remember, it's all about points, and right now it looks like Spain is going to take the full 10. Stevie, this is where you try to minimize your losses. We always say in SailGP, there's 5 fleet races. You can have one bad race, you cannot have 2.
Yeah, and I mean, just take a look at the left-hand side of the leaderboard. Who's gone up to 5th from 8th? New Zealand. The last gate. They took, and they've headed out towards that wind that had turned to the right there. Bottom right-hand side of our screen. Look at them go on the black foils. From nowhere, they're through. It's tight with Canada, Denmark, and New Zealand. And New Zealand, if they can make it round the mark with no more turns and do a left turn here, they're going to be well set up. What an upwind leg from the black foils. Once again, Harry Houdini's pulled himself out of the flames on board that New Zealand boat.
Meanwhile, at the other end of the course, it is Spain that has made the turn, and they have now headed towards the finish line. And the win in race number 1 in Halifax goes the way of the Spanish.
Oh, that was a small little finish line, Todd. If it's tight back in the fleet, it's going to be a job to finish through that finish line. Ian Murray and his team really giving them a small target to hit there. Look in the background there, New Zealand shoot away in the fleet. A solid 5th place at the moment. Canada working their way up. De La Pierre, oh, he's a little bit loose, but great 2nd place for the French crew.
That is like threading the needle with an F50 as they come flying through. A great performance for Quentin De La Pierre and the French as they finish in 2nd. And it looks like Emirates GBR will hold on for 3rd. That's great points for them. They will pick up the 8 points for 3rd, and Eric Heil, and the Germans will finish in 4th. So, Stevie, they make that great start stick all the way for a top 4 performance.
Yeah, I was talking to their coach, Joe Glanfield, last night. He said, what were the lessons from the training day? And he said, well, try and plan ahead. And, of course, on a day like this, it's pretty hard to have a plan, but you do need to be looking ahead. So, obviously, a good debrief on that German crew. Made some nice work as we see New Zealand now.
Maybe the best save of the race.
Well, they're just so good at this comebacks at the moment, aren't they? Oh, Canada, have a look at it on board the Canadian boat. What a catch by Billy Gooderham. Just clearly trying to keep the crowd involved. It's all a bit loose on board that Canadian boat, but I don't see anyone too close behind them. Oh, Phil Robertson said he was going to keep the crowd entertained, but I didn't think it was going to be quite like that.
So Canada will come through safely into 7th place. I know they wanted to get a higher finish for that for the home fans, just meters away from them. And here comes the Australians. They will finish in 9th place. I make that 8th place, actually. They've overtaken the Swiss. So it's Australia 8th. The Swiss will go to 9th.
I think these conditions really highlight the crews that can pull off the manoeuvres when you have to under real pressure. And some of these newer teams have quite got this same experience to be able to execute good manoeuvres when the pressure's really on. And probably as much as anyone there, we see the US team coming down. It's worth remembering they've changed their wing trimmer. New lineup, of course, since the team was taken over and run by Mike Buckley and Taylor Canfield. But they got Jeremy Wilmot on wing trim now. So this is his first day racing, and a fairly solid day on the tools, you'd say, for your first day out here for this US crew.
Absolute baptism by fire for Jeremy Wilmot, as we say welcome to SailGP, and the Americans coming through with a unimpressive 10th here. So they will look to bounce back in a big-time way in races 2 and 3, which we will have for you just moments away. Stevie, I'm with you just how tight that finish line is. If we get more than 2 boats on a close finish, it is going to be very sporty.
Yeah, well, Ian Murray and his team clearly trying to keep the fans happy. And, well, that was some first race.
1 race down, 2 more races to go here at the ROCKWOOL Canada Sail Grand Prix. Well, let's talk about the moments of race number 1, Stevie. No better place to start than the start, and it was awfully spicy in the start box.
Well, it was, and we saw 4 teams with, Canada. They were the pole predictors at this stage, but out the back of the screen, Germany and France, well, they chanced their arm with a long run up here, and it was really well timed. They luckily got some gap. You can't guarantee that, but when the opportunity comes, if you got that kind of speed, what a job. They absolutely nailed the start, and it was these 2 that led away towards Mark 1. Germany and France managed to cling on the inside, but it wasn't that kind of race. It wasn't decided by Mark 1, Todd.
And these are the absolute best in the world, and look at this. A big split in the fleet because it was all about Spain, France, Germany out front.
Yeah, I think big split in the fleet because you can get your head out and look for these patches of wind. That's going to be the essence of the day. So a lot of pressure on the strategists, a lot of pressure on the wing trimmers to then adapt to these changing conditions. And as the fleet went on, it was Botín that seemed to have his head out the boat really well. We saw as they came round this gate 2, we looked just towards the right-hand side of our screen there, and we see a slight darker texture on the water. That's the gust of wind that Botín found. And from then on, well, he just sailed in good breeze around the course. Would say it was building a little bit through the day, getting pretty spicy out there, Todd.
French with a nice overtake at the end to finish off with 2nd place. Stevie, let's take a look at the numbers and break this all down for us.
Well, again, Elisa said it, didn't she? You either sail fastest or you sail less distance. And the Spanish sailed less distance, and in doing less distance, they sailed there. Look at the manoeuvres, 10. They did 2 less manoeuvres than the 2nd place boat. Every time you turn the boat, you lose distance. So there you go. Spain in that race, minimise distance, minimise manoeuvres, keep it simple, stupid.
Lisa has done something that no one else has been able to do since Bermuda, and that is catch up with the Spanish. We sit it down to her on the water.
Diego, congratulations. That was a very commendable win, but just how challenging are the conditions out here?
Yeah, it's crazy. At the beginning of the day, there was no wind, so we went out with the big jips. Then we changed just before we started training because a massive gust came. And yes, as you say, we just had rain in the middle of the race. So massive gust hit the race course, and it was all about getting those ones and the shifts.
I mean, how hard is it to sail when the wind is so changeable, but also you've got the smaller foils in the lulls, and trying to execute those manoeuvres looks really hard.
Yeah, it's super hard, and if you add the factor that the water is 8 degrees, it's super easy to ventilate them, and we are all day trying not to ventilate. It's on the edge. It's really on the edge, and yeah, it looks windy for the next race. It's going to be interesting.
Well, you seem really calm. I guess it's trying to keep it simple on a day that's just really not that simple.
Yeah, wait until we are with all the boats around in the next race.
Yeah, I'm sure it felt pretty nice to be out in front and be able to do what you want. You sailed so much less distance than everyone else.
Yeah. We sail a very good race, but it's really hard to repeat. We will try. If we repeat it great. If not, it's going to be a big fight.
Thanks, Diego. We'll let you debrief and get into the next one.
Thank you.
Well, confidence certainly on their side. Remember, they won the last race in Bermuda. They won the event final, and now they come into Halifax and they win the first race to start things off here. So we'll see how they fare in the next 2 races. But a great start for the Spanish. They've got all the momentum in the world. They currently sit in 3rd place overall. Fleet Race 2 is coming up shortly, and as always, the battle for 10 points will be intense. And Team Canada, they are going to need to bounce back in a big-time way. They currently sit in 7th place, 6th overall as they host a league event for the first time since coming into SailGP. But does their feisty driver, Phil Robertson, and his crew have what it takes to rise up from their humble beginnings to make a late-season charge to the grand final? And, of course, in San Francisco, the big race for $2 million on the line come July.
I guess I started SailGP in season 1 and then with the Chinese team. That evolved into the Spanish team.
We have a new leader in SailGP season 2 with Phil Robertson in the Spanish.
I left that team and joined the Canadian team when they came online from season 3 onwards.
Not bad, eh?
Putting the team together, it's a challenge. It's really difficult. I didn't know any Canadian sailors. To be frank, sailing in Canada is not a popular sport. There's not a big pool to pick from, and yeah, we sort of put the applications out, said apply if you want to come and join the team. We got a bunch and sort of went through CVs as a normal business would do probably, and then sort of picked the top 20 people and trialled a bunch of them and ended up with the team we have now.
That's a pretty good move.
If you don't have a good mix of experience and some newbies on board, then you're not going to learn very fast, so it's going to take a long time to sort of get up to speed, and you see that in a few teams here now. But yeah, experience is everything in this sport of sailing. I'm a fighter, you know. I've never had an easy run in my career, and to get to where I've got to has not been handed on a silver platter, to be frank. And look, that sort of read my attitude, I guess, to it. I've got to be fighting to get to where I want, and it's the same on the race course. I think if you sort of are passive and, you know, just sort of, you'll get pushed around. So you can't be passive in this world. You've got to be aggressive, and I think people know it as well. They come near us, they're in for a fight. I think we're in good shape commercially as well. We've got to find more partners to keep this thing going, and it's great for Canada what this team is doing in terms of the sport of sailing.
Robertson just needs to stay fast. He slingshots around the outside. Brilliant by Robertson.
To make the final, we need to be on the podium in the next 2 events. I think we're in a strong spot, and our team is fired up for this week. They're pumped. There are so many people out here supporting us, and I think it's cool. The team sort of gets this little bit of special juju and gets lifted, and yeah, I'm really excited for this weekend to see what we can do out there.
Well, sailing is not the only sport taking center stage in Halifax. Of course, they are known for their prowess on the ice. Billy Goodrum gets in between the pipes and let the folks take shots on him. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter if it was on ice or on land. This guy knows his stuff as he held off a bunch of wicked shots, kept him out of the pipe. But when the pressure was really on, it's when none other than Justin Beaver came on board and got one past Billy and put it into the net. Justine, well done. Light the lamp. And not only on the hockey, Justine Beaver got it done sailing Canada's boat. I don't think we realize how expensive that boat is, and to turn it over to their mascot, that was a very brave move. We'll see if Canada can bounce back. They'll need some points. Maybe Justine Beaver will be the lucky one because they finished in 7th place in race number 1, and they're going to be much better than that. Race number 2 coming up from Halifax.
Halifax Sail Grand Prix. Let me talk to you about the weather for a second, because my oh my, it is so cold out here. I really feel like I'm getting the full Canadian experience. I've got 3 layers of jackets on, and during the middle of that last race, it just started raining. You know, even though the weather may be cold, it may be rainy, the energy here in Canada is just so high, and as you can see, the Canadians are just behind me. How lucky is that? You know, they are flying and they are putting on a fantastic show for all the people that came here in Canada. I mean, this venue has the highest number of BYOB Bring Your Own Boat fleets. I think there's over 300 boats that came out here today. That is so, so cool to see all of the excitement here in Canada. And these shores are completely filled. All the piers are just crowded with people cheering for Canada. And it's a really, really amazing thing to see. Now, in that last race, the start was so cool to see. The French was the only boat that stayed on the foils in that pre-start. And I think that was the key to really getting them first to that reaching mark. And that was the moment that was important for them to stay in the front. It was at the start when they got fully on the foils. But the Spanish, they did a really good job of minimizing maneuvers and staying on the lifted tack. It's really shifty out here. It's really up and down. You could be on the foils 1 second and off them the next. You clearly saw that in the last race. There were so many lead changes, but the Spanish, they were really good at staying near the pressure and really maximizing their time on the foils. They've started with a bullet. Let's see what they can do, because they won the last event in Bermuda, so that's going to be really great for their overall season leaderboard if they can even podium at this event. They're just getting ready for the next race, and I'll see you after. Bye.
Yes, powered by nature, powered by nature. We are SailGP.
Spain has won the first event here at the ROCKWOOL Canada Sail Grand Prix in Halifax. We are getting ready for race number 2, and of course we'll have a third fleet race with 10 points on the line for each race. So the Spanish in a good place right now as the fans get themselves into a great viewing position. Stevie, these fans getting themselves a great show today. It might be a little chilly on June 1, but they are ready for some great racing. Let's take a look at some of the analysis that we saw from that first race.
Yeah, I mean, tricky race course out there, isn't it? What we saw for sure is that the start's still quite crucial. If you can get in good shape to gate 2, you're in brilliant position. But I think what's interesting later on is if you can do a left turn and get into this space towards what we call the right-hand side of the course, just tends to be a little bit more space to open up options heading up the course. And as you get to gate 3, that cityscape at the top of the course is making it real wacky races up there. It's a bit like Super Mario Kart at the top of the course there. Plenty of big gusts of wind if you can pick them. So yeah, tricky race course for the crews to get used to, but we did see opportunity aplenty, and it's going to be about that accuracy and manoeuvring. So heads out the boat, strategist and wing trimmers day.
There is the race course here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, as SailGP makes its first visit to the Great White North. There are the Canadians. As we said, they finished 7th in the first race, and they'll need a much better performance in the next 2 races, which we will have for you shortly. Short time ago, Lisa Darmanin caught up with their skipper, Phil Robertson, down on the water.
Phil, we're out here. It's cold, it's shifty, it's windy, and there are so many Canadians on the shore cheering you on. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's obviously pretty epic. Yeah, I don't think we've seen crowds like this, and yeah, the enthusiasm from the spectators as well is second to none. So yeah, it's pumped. We're stoked to have the home crowd behind us for once, and yeah, it's shifty, it's difficult, and it's windy, but hey, we're sailors. We should be able to adapt to it. So it's good action.
7th in the first race. Obviously, you want to get off that start line, but what's the key to be able to get in front on this one?
Oh, it's really difficult. The shifts are huge, and the puffs the difference in the breeze strength over the course is big as well. So, yeah, it'd be nice to be first at Mark 1 and be able to choose where you go. But look, it's just trying to keep it simple, even though it's so complicated. So that's the plan.
All right. Well, we'll let you go debrief for the team. I'm loving the coat as well. Staying warm.
Yeah, it's good. It's not bad, this one. All right. Cheers.
As we will see what they can do in the next race. Before we get to that, remember, it's 10 points for win all the way down to 1 point for last place. So let's give you a little 101 on how SailGP does their scoring in these races. At the end of the season, the winning team will lift the SailGP Season 4 Championship trophy and claim their share of $7 million. But how does it all work? Our scoring system awards points for each race that teams compete in across a race event. The top 3 teams with the most points will face off at the event final. One final race in order to determine who takes the event title and battle it out for maximum points towards the season standings. 10 to the winner, 9 for second, and 8 for third. 4th to 10th place are awarded season points based on their position from only the fleet races. These points are crucial for the season-long championship leaderboard. The championship leaderboard is recalculated after each event, and the 3 highest-ranked teams at the end of the season qualify for the winner-take-all grand final. So that's how the scoring works. Everyone trying to get in a top 3 position in San Francisco, and then it'll be the battle for $2 million. As we come up on 90 seconds to go before the start of race number 2, and we've got the Spanish looking very good.
The course for race 2 is 7 legs. The axis is 000. Wind is approximately 32 kilometers per hour.
All right, so there is your race setup. Stevie doesn't change a whole lot. Lisa Darman has reported about the shifting going on down there. It's just got to be all on the strategists and the flight controllers to figure out how to find that pressure.
Yeah, I think absolutely. It's really about sailing the boats accurately, which is pretty hard out there today, to be perfectly honest.
1 minute to go before the start of race number 2. Winners of race number 1, Spain, France, and GBR, your top 3. So they get 10, 9, and 8 points respectively. Dismal performances from Australia, Switzerland, and the USA, bringing up 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah, and I think what's going to become a factor through the day, Todd, is on a gusty, shifty day like this, the grinders have got to work a lot hard. They're the ones on the big handles at the front, 2 of them working together, but they're pulling in that big wing sail. And, of course, it's the United States have got for a slightly different strategy. They've got Anna Weiss on the handles with Mike Buckley at the back, which takes, it's a bit of a different way of going about it. A lot of the teams have got big sort of 100-kilo power units, and that's kind of key in these things. Here we go. Pole position predictor at the moment. We see on board Denmark, bottom of the line, New Zealand and Spain fighting hard for this end. France looking for a slingshot in, right-hand side of our screen. Has he got his timing right? It's going to be hard for Spain and New Zealand to accelerate. Here come the French. They're coming in hot. De La Pierre, is there room? It's going to be marginal. I think there is. Oh, he's driving like he stole it. Quentin De La Pierre, have a look at it. What a job. He snaked his way through. New Zealand have accelerated in time. Should be able to hang on to second place. But what a start by the French.
Quentin De La Pierre with nerves of steel as they approach mark number 1. He will take the whole shot here in race number 2 with the Danes in second and the Kiwis in third.
Oh, look at the Australians, Todd. They've flown too high. They're off the foils. Waterhouse pushing too hard on board the Australian boat. They're going to be out the back of the fleet here with work to do. They're full of water as we see France, ROCKWOOL, Denmark, and it's Spain. First to turn away from the fleet. That worked well for them in race 1. Has Botin spotted more wind?
Spain in the mix right now. It is Denmark and France on the left side of your screen with the Kiwi short behind.
Here we go. Looks like Botin thinks he can get there in 1. He's hoping to make it down. He's got the rights over New Zealand on the inside, but he will be slower. ROCKWOOL, Denmark, they round gate 2 in the lead. But Quentin De La Pierre, what a start. He's still very much in this in second as we see Spain round on the inside, but they're going to have to keep clear of the New Zealand crew. Expects an aggressive oh, nice work by the New Zealand crew there, and Spain are now going to be slow.
So Spain decides to squeeze it, push it on gate number 2, and they go from third now. They drop all the way back. It's showing 7th on the board as Nikolai Sehested and the Danes are out in front with ROCKWOOL, Denmark. France sits in second.
Yeah, and that's because Phil Robertson turned right, and we could see just before we cut away the Canadians were in great breeze. Australia back up and foiling, but they're in 9th. There we go. Look, Canada, they're sailing across a really nice gust of wind, and that looks like a good gain for Phil Robertson and his crew. New Zealand does have the right of way over Canada, so Robertson needs to watch out for that, but he's back in the race.
This is leg 3 of 7, race number 2 with one more fleet race still to come. 10 points on the line. We go down on the water. Lisa, how have the conditions changed, if anything, from race number 1?
The conditions are just as challenging out here, Todd, but one thing to think about is obviously we've got to go faster, we've got to sail less distance out here, but the forces are always changing, the power. So not only are the wing trimmers and the grinders working really hard, but for the flight controllers, we're seeing a lot of up and down, because when there's more wind, all of a sudden the foils, they want to go faster, and they've got to manage that as well. So from front to back of the boat, there is so much crew work going on, and it's absolutely insane racing out here, and it's a little bit tighter than we saw in the previous race, so it's going to be a tight top gate here.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting point, Todd. You think of a car race, and you start the race in your car, you've got 500 brake horsepower, and you've got that the whole race. Well, if you get a gust of wind out here, you've got 1,000 brake horsepower. Look at the wind speed differences there, 6-7 kilometres an hour different wind speed. It's making big differences to the boat speed. So suddenly you find more wind, you've got 200-300 horsepower more. Find less wind, of course, you're struggling for horsepower. So that's the difference with these sailing races. There's a lot of opportunity to make gains and losses. And right now, Canada perfectly in phase with the wind. They've moved from 5th to 2nd so far on this upwind leg, but we know the top third of the upwind leg is the crucial part, because there's plenty of opportunity for banana skins.
Stevie, if you're in the back of the pack, though, and you're seeing these top teams getting that turbo or nitrous boost, are you saying, okay, that's eventually going to come to us, or have they just sailed into the better pressure?
Well, that is something. You can learn a lot of the course from those boats ahead of you, but the problem you've got is if you're following behind, you're in disturbed, turbulent wind. So if you're in 2 or 3 kilometres less wind because the boats ahead are disturbing it, that's less horsepower that you can get.
Surprised to see Spain, the winners of the first event. They are currently in 8th place as they make their way around this next gate. They are on to leg 4 now, are the Great Danes and Nikolai Sæsted, ROCKWOOL, Denmark, in desperate need of points. They currently sit in 4th place, 9 points out of that third and final position in the final.
Oh, tight cross by Phil Robertson on board Canada. I think he was clean, but he's off the foils. So great upwind leg, but they're off the foils on Canada. And the black foils, well, they're up to 2nd. No mistakes so far from Burling and his crew as ROCKWOOL, Denmark, well, they're checking out downwind. It's tight in the pack here. Great Britain have got the inside, but I think he's going to try and save a manoeuvre. So Bottine is back up into this race, showing us 5th at the moment. Really tight with the French. Contant de la Pierre, great starts, but they're struggling to find a quick route round the course.
Yeah, the voice is elevated just a little bit. That is on board France. They are currently in 5th. They finished 2nd in the first race. It is Nikolai Sæsted of Denmark way out in front. We're talking 300+ meters. Then it is the Kiwis in 2nd. And here comes Phil Robertson and the home team Canadians.
Yeah, it's really timing. What a job by ROCKWOOL Denmark. Fantastic sailing in good breeze. Diego told us how when you're out in front, it's a little bit easier to sail your own course. But, of course, it's still hard to actually do that. So good execution by this Danish crew. Let's watch this manoeuvre. Listening in on board the Danish boat.
2, 1. Yes, I will. Yep. Coming up.
Just very calm there. The transfer between Tom Johnson, the wing trimmer, who takes the wheel. So let Nikolai run across. Nikolai just said, my rake. So that means Raz can come running up on board now to take the flight control. Here we go.
2, 1, turning up.
See how quickly they go from manoeuvre to next manoeuvre. That choreography, that tempo of conversation, really, really nice on board the Danish boat.
Yeah, body fast.
So gate number 4, it is the Danes. Their lead continues to grow. Here comes Peter Burling and the Kiwis. They sit in 2nd place, 99%. That's how long they've been foiling Stevie, almost the entire race. And here come the Canadians, and the rest of the fleet really closing the gap quite a bit on that last leg.
Yeah, often if you go round the course and you get to the windward mark, the top end of the course, top right-hand corner of our screen there, and you get there and there's not much wind, if the boats come round after you and there is wind, well, there's not a lot you can do about that. They're going to catch you up. So, you know, that's definitely what's happened. That was really tight, France and Germany. I'd be surprised if there wasn't a protest there. That was... Oh, we see Stuart Biffle on board Germany saying protest. They are asking the question of the umpires. That's got real messy for the Germans there, because they were right in the race.
Penalty France, relative Germany, port attack boat not keeping clear.
Yeah, I really agree. That was a blatant foul for me, that was really blatant. The French have got to drop back behind the Germans, but the Germans are going to be full of water right now. Another great shot here. Camera angle looks good as we see New Zealand sailing straight across that big dark patch of water. They're well lined up for the breeze. Canada are about to get it. Canada have the right of way against New Zealand, but I don't think they're going to be close enough to make that count. And the black foils, well, they closed up some distance on Sæsted.
No question.
ROCKWOOL Denmark's under pressure from the charging New Zealand boat right now.
Trying to get to 57.
Kiwis able to pass in front of Canada safely, and look at this, less than 100 meters between first and second. It's Denmark and New Zealand going 1 and 2 here in race number 2.
Yeah, we're listening on board the New Zealand boat, and we see if we can hear what Burling's strategy is for the top of the course.
They're starting to build now on us. Yeah. Want to go back in it, or can it come quick? Yeah. Okay, sorry, put down.
Here they're going to go back in it. They feel like they've got into new wind. They want to take a manoeuvre. They're going to turn through the wind, sail across it the other way, and try and stay in that gust of wind as long as possible. Big split on the race course now. Here we go. Look at the differences in the foiling. Denmark, picture perfect foiling so far, but they show us 100 metres ahead. It's going to come down to who's found more wind at the top of the course. Right of way is with New Zealand, but are they close enough to pressure Denmark? I don't think so. Looks like Sehested's found a lovely angle. Wind's rotated to the left on him, and they look like they're going to be clear ahead.
At gate number 5, it is New Zealand closing in on the Great Dane. Nikolai Sehested, the lead, about 100 meters. And then Spain, who was back in 5th, have moved up to 3rd, the winners of the first race. Canada's dropped to 4th. Emirates GBR now in 5th. And Stevie, as they make the turn here at gate number 5, it is all going to be on who's going to pick the right side of the course.
Yeah, crucial decision now, Todd. Pretty much decisions are set here. We're probably going to see a left turn for Sehested, and we're going to see a right turn for Burling. There's going to be leading still Sehested, but it's all going to depend on where the most wind is after the mark. As we see New Zealand, they're off the foils. They've got to re-accelerate there. It's less wind at the top here. I think this is going to turn into a big lead for ROCKWOOL Denmark. New Zealand are going to struggle to foil again here. And in fact, Canada could be a problem here. Canada and Spain on the inside of New Zealand. New Zealand's just going to creep around. Spain and Canada, there's a bit of history there. Don't expect to see Robertson be very kind to Botin here. Here we go. Canada winds it up. Spain must keep clear.
Canada with so much more speed, they blow right past the Spanish, push them back to 4th place. Meanwhile, it's Peter Burling now going into open water. He is firmly in 2nd place, and he'll try to reel in Nikolai Sehested as they head down to this final gate, and then it's a quick right-hand turn, and right now the lead back up to 200 meters for Denmark.
Here we go. Good work by ROCKWOOL Denmark. Look at here. We've got here wind speed. Oh, there's more wind on Denmark. Good news for Denmark. They're going to be going faster. They're definitely going faster than 1 kilometre an hour. I can tell you that for free. But they got 3 kilometres more wind on ROCKWOOL Denmark. Sehested's read this final downwind well. Katja has one last look around on the back there. She's got her eyes on the New Zealand crew, but she's going to like what she sees. There's only one more manoeuvre for the Danish crew. New Zealand are going to have to do 2 more before the bottom of the course.
Stevie, you look at these 2 teams going 1 and 2, Denmark and New Zealand, and maybe the calmest of all the crews. Their comms on board under pressure are always about the same.
Really good tempo chat, but I think, I think that interview that Lisa had with Diego was so insightful. If you're out in front, it's easy to have that tempo right to make your decisions. But when you've got people in front of you making the decisions you wish you could make, it's very hard to stay as calm. You've suddenly got to go plan B, plan C, plan D. It gets pretty hard. Denmark are running plan A the whole way round this course. Done a nice job, executed very well. Hats off to them. And it's Diego Botin. He's chasing down on the right-hand side of our screen, but it looks like ROCKWOOL's going to bring it.
Get out in front and stay out in front. That was the plan, and Denmark stuck to it. Race number 2 goes the way of the Great Dane and ROCKWOOL Denmark. Peter Burling and the Kiwis, the Blackfoils, they will take 2nd place. Good race for them to back up with the 5th they got in the first race. Denmark, remember, got a 6th and now a 1st. And Phil Robertson from 7th to 3rd for Canada.
They have it's really tight at the bottom here. Emirates Great Britain, Slingsby in 6th, could get back in here. Spain needs to give room to the British, but the Spanish can expect to be faster. Botin has played that beautifully. It's going to be hard for the Brits to stay. Oh, but the Spanish get a little loose. Britain get very loose. Can they keep the speed? Here come the Roos. They're going to look to go round the outside. I think the Roos could get round. It's going to be really close. Who's going to get it on the finish? Oh, that's photo finish there for me. Wow, that was so tight as we see Switzerland and France. A lot of the boats getting loose. Look at this. Oh, France got to keep clear. Switzerland get round the French. Delapierre, disaster, really. I mean, first at Mark 1 and gone. What a start in that race, but he's out the back. And Germany as well. They dropped back to 9th. They're going to be disappointed. They were right in that race. And well, for the United States, another tough day at the office so far.
This is the umpires. Penalty Switzerland, relative France, not no room at the mark. Not entitled to room at the mark.
So the official word is that Switzerland fouls France, so that means France will take 7th, bumping Switzerland back to 8th.
Yeah, the Swiss tried to dive inside at the bottom end of this finish line here, and had they got an overlap, had they come alongside the French boat sooner, they would have been entitled to room, but they did it too late, too aggressive, and they've been adjudged to a foul. So yeah, one place drop back there for the Swiss.
And the USA will cross the line. They will finish 10th for the 2nd race in a row. Still learning men. Remember, they bring on a new wing trimmer in Germany. Wilmot Taylor Canfield still putting this team together and trying to get exactly what he wants from this crew. We'll see if they can put it together in the 3rd and final race here in Halifax. Well, Stevie, let's go back and take a look at race number 2 and pick your pleasure. But, man, you can't get better than the start from Quentin Delapierre and the French.
Well, no, we see Spain and New Zealand fighting for what's been the favoured end of the line, this downwind end. It's a bit closer to Mark 1. But, yeah, look at the French. Here he comes. Winds it up with 7 seconds to go, doing probably 3 times the speed here. And, well, he just zigzagged the boat, trying to keep himself behind the line, timed it absolutely beautifully, and was just extending away from here. I mean, he was so fast towards Mark 1. So, yeah, fantastic start by the French, but we've seen the hub, you know, it's not the whole story, really, during these races, Todd. You can get a good start, but mistakes happen, even to the very, very best there. We see a little luff into the wind by the Swiss on Tom Slingsby. He got loose, got to the back of the pack, and the Spanish at the bottom here, they got a little bit slow. They tried to dive inside. They probably did do a little bit of a distance gain on that downwind leg, but it got pretty messy for them.
And then the Germans dive in, Stevie. They had a great start as well. They've had a good day racing, especially in race number 1. Race number 2, they fell off the pace.
Well, they did well, and I think it's one of those things you can get affected by other boats. I mean, it was Germany and France earlier on, but it's all even to the finish. There was a lot of action with boats doing a poor rounding at the bottom there. Switzerland were too late trying to dive through there, got penalised.
Doesn't get much closer than that. At the finish line, we now go down on the water. Lisa Darmanin has caught up with the Great Dane. ROCKWOOL, Denmark, the winners of race 2.
Nikolai, well done on that race. Once again, another challenging one. Weren't quite first in Mark 1, but managed to get first to gate 2 and control from there.
Yeah, that was a good race. It's super tricky out here, and yeah, we did the one mistake you can't do is be next to US in the first start, and it always ends up in the match race. So we just decided to do our own thing here, and that helped. That worked well for us.
And you had a pretty tough start in the first race and obviously bounced back. But what are the other real key things to be able to get around this racetrack clear ahead?
I think it's just accepting you're going to take some losses. Like, you're not going to get all the shifts, so you guys just got to get, I'd say 60% will probably give you a good result. It's super hard, and it's so gusty in strength as well, and it's probably the hardest boat handling day we had for a long time. It might look easier because we're foiling, but it's very dynamic crew work to keep foiling in these on and off puffs and shifts.
I was saying in the commentary before, from the front to the back, everyone's probably working in overtime.
Yeah, I think we all got brain frying at times, just trying to see what's coming next, but also having the setup, because we don't have enough hydraulic pressure to actually change the setup instantly when the puff hits us. So you got to be a little bit ahead of the settings with the wing and the jib and the foils when the puff hits you. And yeah, we're just trying to be really in sync with that, but it's not easy.
Thanks, Nikolai. Good luck for the next one, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So Denmark able to back up a 6th place performance in race number 1. They come back with a victory. So a very nice bounce back for them with one more race to go. Remember, it's 10 points for win, all the way down to 1 point for last. So let's take a look at the numbers after 2 races. With that in mind, the 2 winners have been Spain and Denmark. How consistent were they in that other race? Well, Spain has a 1 and a 4, so Stevie, that puts them on top with 17 points. ROCKWOOL, Denmark, 2 points back in 15, even with New Zealand, who have a 5 and a 2. But you look towards the bottom, I am just shocked to see Australia down there with an 8th and a 6th.
Yeah, struggling on board the Australian boat, aren't they, at the moment? They've not quite found their straps just yet, but this, you know, they're a team that can turn it around if anyone can. I think, you know, for a lot of teams hoping to get in that top 3, to see Spain in 3rd, leading, big moment.
They are packed in on the waterfront here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I want to remind you the season standings after 10 events. It has been a great show so far. Remember, we still have 2 more events coming after this one, New York City and, of course, San Francisco. But after 10 events, your black foils of New Zealand, with 77 points lead the way. Then it's Australia, the triple-time champions, and the defending champions in second, Spain in third. That's where the line is 65, and they've got a 9-point lead over ROCKWOOL, Denmark, so we'll see what happens. Well, the season standings after 10 events are very impressive. We'll see what happens, and we'll see if Tom Slingsby's words live to be prophetic of what he said in Abu Dhabi.
To be frankly honest, I think some of the younger generation haven't stepped up to the plate as much as they could have, and they've got to prove it.
I think, yeah, that helped us also a little bit to put some fire on us and yeah, give us this push to work more.
What a season for Spain. New driver Diego has really stepped up, and he's now got the grand final well within his grasp.
To be really honest, I think if we keep working the same way, we can compete and face the top teams in the league.
And give it up for the Spanish. They will claim the victory here in Bermuda.
Amazing moment for the Spanish, stealing the win from the Australians and the New Zealanders.
We did a very good final in Bermuda, and we proved ourselves that we can do very good things, but also we need to improve on our consistency.
Here they are, they've put on an absolute masterclass, because if you beat Tom Slingsby and that Australian crew and Peter Burling and his New Zealand crew in the final, you're the real deal.
We're starting to define our ethos, our identity, trying to get everybody to feel a deep sense of belonging to something that is probably a higher purpose than just racing and winning.
And for the first time in SailGP history, the young team from Spain will bring it home, and they will claim the victory here in Los Angeles.
Diego, he got thrown in the deep end. We had 3 events before the start of this season with him on the wheel already driving, which were crucial for us because it takes some time. He's been leading the team into a very good position. I think the general feeling in the team is that we're in great hands in that sense.
So, Slinger, any regrets making those comments?
No regrets. I think, yeah, for at least the Spanish, they really took it the right way, and I think since then the worst result has been a 4th place. So you're welcome. It's exciting to see Diego and his guys really have taken the opportunity they've got here, and yeah, they're a force to be reckoned with.
The Spanish are definitely the hottest team in SailGP right now, but as Justine Bieber gets the fans all fired up for the 3rd and final race, despite the cool temperatures here in Halifax, they are ready to go. They have found any viewing spot possible on the shorefront here in Halifax for the 3rd and final race today. Remember, 2 more fleet races tomorrow before the event final and a champion is crowned.
Hey everyone, it's CJ. I am back to you after that incredible 2nd race here in Halifax. I want to give you a little bit of background as to where I am on the course right now. So the boats just finished that last race, and they're all heading up to the center of the course. And as you can see, we've got all 10 boats. They're chilling right now. They're talking with their coaches who are back on shore. They've got these thick coats on in between races to keep them warm, and you can actually see the athletes. They're jumping up and down on the trampoline to try and stay warm. Actually, the sun just peeped out, and these clouds are passing by. Those dark clouds that we saw earlier, that bit of rain, has just passed, and hopefully we get a bit more fresh air, a bit more consistent breeze, because it is so up and down here. You can get a gust of 12 knots, and then you can get a lull of 5. So it is so up in the air, and just like the wind, the results are very mixed match. The Spanish won the first, and then they finished mid-fleet, and the Danish finished first on the last one, and then they also had a not so good race in the first race of today. So I think the results are all spread apart, and it's going to be really this is our last race of the season, and you know, the grand final in San Francisco, and the leaderboard points are super.
Flying carbon machines driven by the world's best. Yes, powered by nature, powered by nature. We are SailGP.
The province of Nova Scotia has an impressive 6 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, 16 National Historic Sites, and 2 national parks. It's a nature and action sport paradise with 13,000 kilometers of epic coastline. You can enjoy the coastal gastronomy on the seafood-centric culinary trails while relaxing in the breathtaking scenery. Nova Scotia has something for everyone. We've still got one more fleet race today and then 2 more tomorrow before the event final. That's only the top 3 teams before we wrap things up here for the first visit of the ROCKWOOL Canada Sail Grand Prix in Halifax. Want to remind you, coming up June 22nd and 23rd, SailGP gets into a New York state of mind as it heads to the Big Apple. The Mubudla Sail Grand Prix returns to New York with a brand new racetrack on the Hudson River.
And 10 boats here charged to on the start line on the Hudson River, and it's Spain that break the line first, and they're going to lead to Mark 1.
The grandstands on Governor's Island will be within touching distance of the start and finish line. The 10 world-class teams will race away from the cheering crowd, whilst the global TV coverage on the big screens bring the story to life with its Emmy Award-winning live line graphics. The Adrenaline Lounge offers world-class hospitality right at the heart of the action. And just along the breakwater at Race HQ, the team's coaches will be finding any advantage using the Oracle Cloud and direct communication to their athletes. If you want to be part of the action on site, check out SailGP's website for more information. Looking forward to getting to New York City and racing on the iconic Hudson. We are just moments away from the 3rd and final fleet race of the day here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Stevie Morris and Todd Harris, Lisa Darmanin with you. Stevie, before we get to the next race, let's go back to fleet race number 2, because that start, I cannot believe how brave Quentin Delapierre was. He was waiting for the reaction of Pete Burling and Diego Boutin to decide out where he's going. Am I going left? Am I going right?
Yeah, I mean, he came in hot, didn't he? And really sent it in pretty fast there, wiggled his way through, and, well, he just got the timing absolutely perfect. There's always a little bit of luck in that, you know, good judgment, judged it really well coming in. But, yeah, it was pretty rogue stuff.
With these conditions, though, getting the whole shot in the start does not guarantee you a win, because France, even though they got that beautiful start, they finished in 7th.
Yeah, well, and I think that's been a little bit the story of the French in the last few days. You know, they've had these great starts, but it happened a little bit in Bermuda, happened a little bit here. Look at this, on board France. Look at that, absolutely driving it like he stole it through the gap there. It's a bit more Grand Theft Auto than anything else, I'd have said, as he came in there, took contact, but he seemed pretty happy with that stuff. Yeah, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, isn't it, Todd? And it was still pretty messy for a lot of the fleet come the finish. The British there got a little loose. They're all trying to do a late turn up. They were all getting a bit slow into that bottom mark, having to do a turn at the mark and then spin up into the wind, and it's that turn through the 90 degrees angle to the wind where you've got the most power on available, and if you're going slow, that power hits a lot harder there, and a lot of the boats getting pretty messy. Plenty for the crews to work on. If I'm coaching those people out there, I'm saying let's be proactive, not reactive. Let's see what's going to come next and be ready for it. Easier said than done, but that's why we're sat here, isn't it, Todd? We get to see it from off the boat. You've got to see these things coming a little bit. It's getting pretty loose there, as we see. He's born to be wild, Luke Parkinson, down on the left-hand side of the screen there, but flight control are doing a fantastic job of staying calm under pressure. Got that British boat back and foiling.
Well, isn't it ironic, once again, that New Zealand goes from 5th to 2nd? Can they do it again in the 3rd race? Earlier, Lisa Darmanin caught up with the Kiwis.
Hey, Liv, it's looking really challenging out here. What's the hardest part about getting on the racetrack?
Yeah, I hope at least it looks challenging. It is pretty challenging, super shifty. It doesn't feel like we're sailing very well at all, but managed to get a couple of good scores on the board. So it's all about just keeping in the pressure. It's huge gains and losses in that.
Liv, it's so shifty that I'm trying to spot all the boats around the track. What angle they're sailing must be pretty hard. How are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very dynamic day out here. It's there's a lot going on, but fortunately we've got the coach's booth and a lot of eyes going on. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, and hopefully it's good to watch.
And how do you use that coaches booth? Obviously they're getting all the data, and they've got a little bit of eyes out as well, trying to predict the future.
Yeah, I mean, they have some great tools in there and really good comms to us on board, so really fortunate to have them, and it's a great tool on a day like today, for sure.
And Pete, that start is always critical. You want to get out in front and really sail your own race, but what sort of style start is working in this puffy conditions? So I guess you don't know what gust you're going to have it go.
Yeah, well, the last two starts, someone's led from falling through from the back, but yeah, we've just more tried to be consistent in the front row. Yeah. I think anywhere in the middle, Mark 1's good enough. You know, you just got to hook up a good beat, and you'll be in good shape.
And how are you feeling overall day? You said you didn't feel like you're sailing that well, but just quickly, what would be a key for this race?
Well, we're always going for the win, but yeah, I don't know. You know, it just depends how well you get off the line. If you get off the line well, you're definitely trying to be right at the front. If you back a little bit more, he's trying to pick off a few. So, you know, anything above the middle, I think, would be pretty happy going to tomorrow.
Thanks, Pete. Good luck and have a good one. Thanks, Liv.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Liv and Peter. So the Kiwis all ready to go. And there are the 10 international teams here of SailGP Season 4. This is the 11th stop, and we are less than 90 seconds away from the third and final fleet race of the day. All right, Stevie, there's really no tried and true place to be as we come up on 1:10 to go of where to be in that start box. Content de la Paire has shown us that you can be in the very back if you can thread the needle. And other people have said, you know what, let's just get ourselves right in the middle, like Pete was telling Lisa just minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, what's quite impressive is a lot of these boats are hitting the line at around 70 kilometres an hour. Basically means you're hitting the line travelling at 19 metres per second as you come in there, and they're within a metre or so of the line, so you know they are within tenths of a second to when they hit the start line. And we see now great big gust of wind coming down, so it's going to be a good opportunity to accelerate here. I do think if you're back early, it's more conservative, good chance of a safe start. Those people out the back, they're rolling the dice a bit, they're hoping there's going to be a gap, and a lot of people will tell you hope's not a great strategy. But Canada up the line now, they're hoping for a fast angle in towards gate mark number 1. New Zealand, Australia, they turn back. It looks like Germany, Great Britain and Switzerland, they're really early here. They're going to have to kill a lot of speed.
And look how late Spain is.
Spain and United States are late, that's for sure. New Zealand are up and foiling. Australia are up and foiling. Don't see much of a gap for New Zealand. Oh, he's trying to thread the needle. Have a look at Peter Burling. How's your timing at the bottom of the line here, Australia? Coming in hot. Oh, brilliant by Slingsby. Absolute perfection.
OCS penalty over the line early. Switzerland and Germany.
They need to drop out the back. It's a big gust of wind coming in towards Mark 1 here. Canada and Denmark are really fast. The Australians hold the tactical advantage. Denmark must keep clear. Canada must keep clear. Slingsby's going to lead, and Burling and New Zealand are going to be fourth, chasing down ROCKWOOL, Denmark and Canada, but the Kiwis will have the opportunity to manoeuvre away to gate 2 first. Here go the Aussies.
At mark number 1, the team that maybe needs a great win here the most, the Aussies. 3-time champions in SailGP. They have had a terrible regatta so far in 8th and in 6th on the first 2 races.
They're really well lined up there, though, Todd. It's funny, I had my heart in my mouth. Were they going to nail a good manoeuvre? When do you ever think that about the Australians? But it's been that kind of day for them. But here they go. Look how high they're flying, that Australian boat. But it might not be high enough, because ROCKWOOL Denmark are on the inside coming into gate 2 here. And if they stay overlapped, if the Danish can stay alongside, look at this gap. They look like they're overlapped to me. Maybe just in time, broken by the Australia. That's tight. Really tight. He's given them room. Slingsby thought they were overlapped. Sehested think he didn't have enough room. Wow, what a tight moment in the race there. Now ROCKWOOL must keep clear of Australia.
Heard Nikolai Sehested call for the protest. Nothing so far from Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell as Denmark maintains the lead. They will turn away from the Aussies.
Tom Slingsby will say I gave him room to get a double-decker bus through there. It didn't look like a lot of room to me, but Slingsby knows how to judge that pretty well. And here are the Germans. They're a bit slow. They're a bit loose coming round the bottom here, and the Swiss are going to slide round the outside oh so quickly as the boats start moving away upwind. It looks like Phil Robertson's found good wind early on this upwind leg, but Denmark, they have the right of way coming in from the right-hand side of our screen. Wind over the right-hand side of the boat. Canada dip behind them, and it's Slingsby. Looks like he's got the lead to me on those ladder lines. Beautiful angle up the course for the Australians, and they've got that boat going fast again.
This is leg 3 of 7, the third and final fleet race of the day. 2 more coming tomorrow. Down on the water, Lisa, it looks like a lot of dark patches out there. How tough is this course to read in this third race?
It's actually not too hard to read once the wind is here, so it is a lot windier in general across the course. We had a big left shift on that beat. That's why Denmark is now coming a little bit more advantage on Australia, and Canada got back into the race. But where Denmark and Australia are right now, there's plenty of wind, so it is a little bit different, but no one lap has been the same all day. In general, this left-hand side, the Halifax side, has been working better, but there is opportunity on the right. So it's a bit of roll of the dice. It's a real chess game out here, but going around at 80 kilometres per hour.
Well, it's happening pretty quick, and we saw a little bit too quick for Canada. They've sailed outside the boundary. Might have done that on purpose to hope to make the next gate with no more manoeuvres, but they're going to have to lose 20 metres, and if the umpires deem it to have been on purpose, they could take more distance from them. Still a penalty on Canada. They've had to slow right down. There you go, Phil Robertson. I think he's probably done enough now, but he pushed outside the boundary, and he's got clear, but Emirates Great Britain threads the needle, and the Black Foils.
Who has the right of way?
Burling on board. The Black Foils has the right of way here. Great Britain must stay clear, but they've got a faster angle, but I think they're going to struggle to be ahead of New Zealand from here. They've got to set it up for the next leg. Canada in it, but leading at gate 3, it's New Zealand and the Black Foils.
Canada's coming in hot here. Are they coming in a little too hot? Will they go to the inside line? Canada does just that.
Wide in, tight out, Todd. Textbook motorcar racing stuff there, and they're going to set themselves up well. Good work by Robertson. Early manoeuvre coming from the Black Foil. Straight in front of them turns Canada, and Canada has control. As we see the Roos, they're back to 4th. When do you see Slingsby on board that Australian boat lose a lead? He's struggling out there today.
Everybody's with you.
Spain has not had a great third race here. They sit in 8th place, so they'll want to pick up 2 or 3 more positions. They are the current leaders after 2 races, so we'll see what they can do. Remember, they are the winners of the last event. Maybe the hottest team in SailGP right now, as they have been on a winning tear since Bermuda.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how much that wind has rotated round. Look, you can see the leading 3 boats sailing down towards gate number 4, almost in a straight line. That's a big, big wind shift. Not a lot to do here. Just try and stay in the match. If you're Great Britain and New Zealand, try and stay close.
Yeah, back up wind. Okay, going to take good pressure here, so go and lift.
There you go. Here, Giles Scott just trying to check what the racetrack is still. Looking for going back upwind, and we should hear the crews now. What are they planning for this next upwind? We might be able to hear on board.
Max wing, come up 5, coming up. Okay, rounding up in 3, 2, 1, past the turn.
Yeah, so maybe one more manoeuvre for New Zealand and potentially for Great Britain. Great Britain turn away. Our graphics are just suggesting there's only one mark. There is one more upwind leg to do here. So the boats are able to turn left. New Zealand, that's a rare mistake from the Black Foils. Got a little bit slow, and that turn-up's hard when you're slow. Emirates Great Britain split the course. Has Hannah Mills, the strategist, found more wind? They look like they're going to sail across a good puff of wind to me right there. Phil Robertson, he's going to have the right of way when the 2 boats meet.
So it is Canada that leads on leg 5 of 7. They'll go to the top of the course field, they'll come back down, and then it'll be the right-hand sprint to the finish line. Can Canada get the win to back up that 3rd in race number 2 and the 7th in race number 1?
Coming up a little here.
Yeah, nice pressure, nice wind. That dark breeze there suggests all the boats are in good wind, but right of way with Canada as they move up the course. It could be advantage Great Britain, though, because they're going to get to the right-hand side of them. Bottom, the way Spain's going at the moment, bottom right-hand corner of our screen, that's where traditionally there's been a little bit more breeze as the race goes on. So I like where Great Britain's heading at the moment, and they will have the right of way.
I think if this is lefty here, I think we take it.
That was Phil Robertson. He's hoping the wind turns to the left, because that'll help him out. Lisa, how are the Canadians going to find a left wind shift here?
They are in really good pressure out here on the left, and the wind is shifting quite a lot, which means one moment the right is working, one moment the left is working. But looking across the course at the moment, I think they are in the best pressure. But Emirates, Great Britain, they have a better angle, so it'll be quite close when they come back together. I think that split at the gate for Emirates GBR did help, but Canada, they're just doing their manoeuvre now, and they'll come across and meet GBR.
All right, Lisa, the big question is when they get to this top gate, where would you go? Where do you think the pressure is going to be the most beneficial to put some distance on your opponents?
One in right, okay?
Oh, Todd,
I think a left turn at the next gate is going to be quite powerful because you can turn left and then you do a jibe, do a turn, and then it's almost one run down to the bottom. So that's what I would do, but you know, in 30 seconds it could be different.
I think that's the key point, Todd. I think you've got to make that decision closer to the top of the course when you see what wind's going to be coming down. We saw a really tight cross there, Great Britain ahead, but right now, roles have reversed. Right of way's back with Canada here, and it looks good to me for Canada. Here we go, oh, it's getting a bit loose on board the Canadian boat. And they get it. They've got the right of way now, and they've come to this right-hand side of the course at the top here. Seems to traditionally have a little bit more wind. Great Britain might be able to dive inside. What's your decision, Giles? Do you want to turn right, or do you take Lisa's advice and go left?
Are we crossing hand? Take a look. Coming up.
Oh, they go left.
They're not. Well, they didn't think they were crossing. That's a late decision. They're both going to be slow. Australia are back in the race. New Zealand are dropped out. Oh, Canada on the inside. Did he have room? Oh, I don't know if he did. That could be a question asked there. That all happened very, very late. Dive inside.
Penalty Canada, relative GBR, not entitled to mark room.
Yeah, I didn't think he had room in there. He came in too late. He's got to drop behind Great Britain. Oh, Phil Robertson a bit too aggressive. Got to let the British past him here, and that could be opportunity for left-hand side of our screen, Tom Slingsby. Plenty of race left in this one yet, trust me.
We'll let them roll, okay? Germans on the nose. Yeah, coming up.
Oh, let's look at that one more time, Stevie, because it looked like Phil Robertson doing Phil Robertson kind of things, and this time Chief Umpire says not so fast.
Yeah, well, he turns in front on board the British boat, but he crucially enters the yellow zone, which means he is entitled to round the mark as he wants. Phil Robertson tries to dive inside, which stops Giles Scott doing what he wants to do. You're not allowed to do that. Sometimes if you're not got the right of way, you just got to slow up, but that's not Phil Robertson's style. Shoot from the hip, see what you get. Advantage Australia right now, Todd. They found more wind, and the Australians have the right of way, but can they get to the final turning mark with no more manoeuvres?
And Tom Slingsby has come back, and they are now in first place as they have overtaken both Canada and Emirates GBR. They were number one at mark number one. They fell back into the fleet to fourth, Stevie, and now they're back showing their class. Can they hold on here for the final 200 meters? It's Australia, Emirates GBR, and Canada 1, 2, and 3.
It's all about if they make this final turning mark with no more manoeuvres. If they're straight in easy, then no problems. If not, they're going to be slow and they're going to have a tricky rounding. Here we go, two tight manoeuvres for the Australians. Can they do it accurately? The flip-flop jive, they call it. Two turns in a moment. Can they stay? Oh, they've done a nice job of controlling that. Slingsby's back. He needed a win.
And race number 3 will go to the Australians as Tom Slingsby bounces back to get the final race here on day number 1 in Halifax. At the line, Emirates GBR just edging out Phil Robertson and the Canadians.
What a tricky day to be consistent. It's going to be 4th place for Blackfoils. A little bit of a disagreement between Phil Robertson and Paul Campbell-James there. Campbell-James seeming to side with Craig Mitchell there. A bit rare to hear that on the race course. Craig will be nice to hear some of the sailors agreeing with him. But Spain in 7th at the moment. It's a tricky race for the Spanish, but still probably not disastrous after a good first 2. Maybe not enough for the French, and De La Pierre, though, with a 6th. He, much like the Australians, really needed a good last race here.
So France will come in. Their report card on day number 1 will be a 2, a 7, and a 6. Spain now goes wide around here. They've got the time.
Oh, he's just talking to Nicky Van Velden there. That was Diego. He said, oh, he's got to keep clear now, Spain. You've got to keep clear. Oh, there's a little bit of disagreement. It's all getting pretty tense out there. Fatigue maybe kicking at the end of the day, but that was Diego Bortin, and Nicky Van Velden clearly had a different picture of what they wanted to execute out there on the race course. And a place lost by the Spanish. How costly will that be? Points mean prizes, Todd, and that's 1 point lost, perhaps unnecessarily.
So Switzerland does get 7th place. Spain drops back to 8th. So after a tremendous performance in race number 1 and a 4th in race number 2, they get an 8th in race number 3. Stevie, we said this many times before, out of the 5 fleet races, you can have a bad race. You can have a 7th, 8th, even a 9th if you're consistently in the top 3 or 4. But man, Spain is flirting with not making that event final coming tomorrow as Germany brings it home, and the USA, a bad day for them. 3 last-place finishes for the Stars and Stripes.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not an easy day to be consistent, though, Todd. So, you know, it's kind of about minimum points, not all about getting the low scores.
We'll break it all down in just a matter of moments from Halifax. Let's go down on the water as Team Australia gets the win. Tom Slingsby and company. Tom, you guys bounced back from an 8th in that first race, a 6th in the second race. The good news is you're trending up, my friend, but these conditions are not easy.
Yeah, we were just joking around on board. I think that last top mark of the last race was the only wind shift we got all day. Just felt like, yeah, we were a bit unlucky, and we had a couple of bad instances. In that second race, we got luffed about 15 times by Nathan Outridge on the first reach, and it was just we're in a battle all day, it felt like.
And Tom, is Tash around anywhere near you? Tash, I was going to say, pretty hard day being the strategist out there. What happens when you are stuck in the middle of the pack there? Is there much you can do, or are you just relying on Lady Luck like Tom suggested?
Well, I think there was a bit of luck with it, but also, no matter where you are on the race course, you're kind of always in danger of either going the wrong way or being in a lull, so it's tricky all around, no matter where you were.
Yeah, nice. Tom, you mentioned in the press conference that this is a bit of a game of riding on confidence. It's been a sort of tough event for you so far, and maybe tough couple of months. You know, is this the sort of thing you need to get this Australian boat back to what we used to see, in which is consistently winning?
Honestly, it felt like we started the boat somewhat well today, but we just weren't in phase with the shifts, and that responsibility falls on my shoulders. So, look, we've got the talent, we've got the skill set, we just need to put it all together, and it was nice to finish well today. It was a tough first 2 races. I was thinking we're going to be the back of the pack after day 1, but this puts us in with a chance heading into day 2 of making the final, so that's what we needed.
Oh, well, Tom, good luck for tomorrow, and hopefully you can all get one of those nice outfits like Carl Langford.
Well, let's take a look at some of the moments, Stevie, in this one. And the start, once again, was critical.
Well, absolutely critical. And it was Tom Slingsby who, here we go, absolutely nailed it as he came flying into this start line. He was out the back. The New Zealand were trying to be fast. Pole Predictor was at the top of the line, but it's hard to do it from up there. The Rolex best time start did go to the Canadians at the top of the line, absolutely flat out within 0.1 of a second after the gun. But they had more distance to sail. Slingsby had got his maths right, and he managed to hold on in the inside just to lead at Mark 1. So it was a really, really nice job by the Australians when they needed it, let's be honest.
Let's go down to gate number 2, Stevie, and this is where things got a little more interesting. Everyone's starting to feel the points really coming to bear.
Yeah, well, it was really, really tight. This was sort of really tight at the bottom of the course. Canada managed to just sneak in, got a penalty, which cost them, and there you go.
So here are the highlights from race number 3, and once again, Stevie, the race start was key, but look how close everyone is at Mark 1.
Yeah, I mean, the starting was pretty key, but we saw a lot of the teams through the day, you know, they had their moments, didn't we? See the Spanish, they had a great race. This was the second start of the day, and De La Pierre, well, he did a fantastic job here. But there was a lot of mistakes to be made out there. An Australian, well, they weren't the only team making mistakes. French leading at this one, but they struggled all the way back in that race too, dropped right back through the fleet.
How hard is it going to be for tomorrow with similar conditions, finding consistency with Tom Slingsby, who's maybe one of the best in the world, can't find consistent breeze?
Well, I think that, you know, it comes down to doing the basics really well, and I think it's executing good manoeuvres. It's not making those silly little boat handling mistakes. You know, sometimes boat speed, a good decision, you can make a good decision, but if you execute that decision badly, it looks like a bad decision. So the teams need to go away and analyse, did we sail badly, or did we execute our manoeuvres badly? And I think a lot of the teams will probably be able to find some real gains in how they're sailing the boat. And there, come back tomorrow ready to fight, because it's going to be a scrap all the way till that final finish line.
Well, it's been a topsy-turvy day of racing here in Halifax as SailGP comes to the Great White North for the first time. So everyone wants to know, what do the standings look like after 3 races? Remember, it's 10 points for win, 1 point for last, and it is Emirates GBR that has been the most consistent. They are 1 point clear of the Black Foils. New Zealand sit in second place, and ROCKWOOL Denmark. Remember, after the 5 fleet races, you want to be in the top 3 because then you will race off for the winner-take-all event final. Canada on the outside, Stevie, Spain on the outside, but I don't think you count out Australia and France just yet as well. They're sitting on 18 points.
No, I don't think you're counting out many, but what a massive day for Giles Scott. He's been under a lot of pressure, not performed, but we should give credit where credit's due. It's a hard day, and he sailed very well out there today, so it's going to be a happy Emirates GBR right now.
All right, let's go down on the water. Lisa Darmanin is with Emirates GBR, the team that leads after 3 races.
Well, I think Giles and Hannah were a bit surprised when I said they were the standing leaders. Sounds like everyone felt like it was pretty tough out there, and you're a bit surprised, Giles.
I'm not going to say surprised. Nice surprise, if anything. But yeah, tough day. Like real hectic race course that. And yeah, I think if you watch all the onboards, I'd imagine everybody was having a mare here and there, and you know we certainly had our struggles. But yeah, we managed to pick our way through it today, which is quite nice.
You had to have the full package. You had to be able to execute manoeuvres, get off the start line, pick the shifts, sail fast. Is that what it felt like, trying to do everything right all at once?
Yeah, trying being the key word there. I mean, I don't think it was pretty, particularly from anyone. I mean, we certainly didn't feel very clean today, but you know, as you say, we're in the overall lead and not really feeling like we sailed that clean. So I think it just goes to show how difficult racing is here in this offshore, shifty, gusty stuff. Yeah, I mean, awesome racetrack, but hard going.
And Hannah, we have a ROCKWOOL Rockstar today, and the commentators think they're handing it to you. So congratulations. How does it feel? Do you feel like you earned that title today?
I think the whole team probably earned that title for sure. It was a massive team effort to get the boat around the racetrack. You know, the breeze here is pretty cold, so it hits really hard, which is just making it even harder with this shifty offshore stuff. But yeah, amazing venue.
And what was that moment in the last race? Obviously, you got right back into it. Was there a moment in the race that you picked a good shift, or what got you back in there?
Yeah, I can't remember which upwind, to be honest. It was such a hectic day, but one of the upwind we just absolutely nailed, tacking in the pressure and getting the shifts totally perfect, pretty much, and we pulled right through to, I think, just behind the Canadians, and kept the race really close from there. But yeah, there's always an element of luck and where you are on a day like today, but you just keep chipping and keep trying to put your boat in the right spot and hope it comes good.
Well, good news is we've got more of the same tomorrow, around 30 km/h winds, gusting to 40 km/h. But as we can see, anything can happen here at SailGP. It'll be interesting to see what configuration they go. I don't know how you guys felt about the high-speed boards, but we're just going to have to wait and see, and can't wait for another action-packed day tomorrow.
On the frosty waters here in Halifax, Stevie. Excited for tomorrow because it is going to be a mixed bag, as Lisa reported, a little bit of everything thrown at the best sailors in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you're sailing out there, it's, you can see, even for the best, it got wet, it got cold, it got tricky, and it's hard action out on the water. There's plenty to go for. Some ways the top teams will be pulling their hair out because there's so many things that aren't controllable on the race course. What you can control is your own performance, and they need to go and analyse hard, think about what they're going to do tomorrow. Some teams like France got to come out firing, so it's going to be great fun.
We look forward to it. It'll be day number 2, Championship Sunday of the ROCKWOOL Canada Sail Grand Prix Halifax. On behalf of Lisa Darmanin and Stevie Morrison, I'm Todd Harris. We will see you tomorrow here in the Great White North as we return to Halifax, Canada. Halifax is the host of the ROCKWOOL Canada Sail Grand Prix. And the win, it goes the way of the Spanish. Content de la Pierre with nerves of steel. Race number 2 goes the way of the Great Dane in ROCKWOOL, Denmark.
Oh, brilliant by Slingsby. That's tight. Ooh, really tight. Slingsby's back. He needed a win.